So, based on our schedule, um, we will continue the Gopi Geet, and where we left off last weekend, last Saturday. Um, what we had tried to establish is, before actually going into the Gopi Geet, the foundation or why the Gopi Geet happened. Hare Krishna. This is very important to understand. Of course, none of us, I would say, or very few of us are qualified to hear and speak about such a sublime subject as the Gopi Geet. But our acharyas also say that Tava Kathamritam, as we will study when we go into the verse number 9, the pastimes of Sri Krishna are full of nectar. And if we hear it with the right attitude, then it will bring us the most auspiciousness in our lives. Because we try to, as sadhaks, do a lot of sadhana based on Guru, Sadhu and Shastra. But who knows how many lifetimes it may take due to the anarthas that we have gathered. Mahaprabhu says, Cheto Darpana Marjanam. Since time immemorial, our hearts are contaminated and it needs to be cleansed. And the best way to cleanse it is when we hear the pure, unadulterated pastimes of Sri Krishna. So on certain occasions, at the request of devotees, I'm taking the bold step of speaking on such a sublime subject matter, and I'm hoping that His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, our Rupanuga Acharyas, Srimati Radharani, blesses me with those words that will be pleasing to them, correct in tattva and philosophy, and very helpful in cleansing our hearts. So last time, if you all remember, we were discussing the part of a quick revision that Krishna calls upon the gopis by playing the flute. If you all remember, 2-3 weeks ago, we had even sung this wonderful pad. Vipina mahu murali hath saji Naval kishora Naval mana mohana Navaswaravam Shivaji Vipina mahu murali hath saji. In the forest of Vrindavan, and to be exact, Vamshivata, we all sing these prayers glorifying Gopinath Ji. Gopinath Ji's pranam mantra. What is it? Shriman Rasa Rasarambi Vamshivata Stitaha Karshaner Swaner Venur Gopi Shri Gopinathaya Shriyastuna. Shriman Rasa Rasarambhi. Gopinath, the Lord of the Gopis, the Master of the Gopis. Again, when it comes to Rasik or to Ras, when it comes to the mellows or Rasa, there are more than one meanings of certain words and sentences. that have an amazing, profound effect and consciousness. So Gopi, meaning the Vraj gopis, and Natha in Sanskrit means the master. Because Lord Krishna, uh, he's the one that that is sort of, again, double meaning here, in control of everything, him being the supreme personality of Godhead. But there's also another meaning of the word Gopinath. The gopis are not, they are the masters. So in the Madhurya Rasa, out of the 5 exchanges of relationships that one can have with the Supreme Lord, the Madhurya Rasa, or the conjugal rasa, or the like the relationship of a lover and a beloved, here the subject or the ashray, Sri Krishna, is in control, especially by those top-notch devotees or gopis who are in Madhurya Ras. Therefore, Gopinath also means the gopis are the master. There, even Krishna catches his ears. But of course, here in this verse, it means Gopinath, the one who played the flute, and in the Vamshi Vata, under the large banyan tree in Vrindavan, in the middle of the night. And when he played that flute, we had established a wonderful explanation based on Sridhar Swami and Vishwanath Chakravarti. If you all remember, it was so poetical and so amazing that Krishna had promised the gopis about a year ago during the Chirharan that next year I will fulfill your desires in this autumn season, in the Sharat Kal. And on the full moon night, on Sharat Purnam, he had actually fulfilled his promise by going into the forest alone, and in Vrindavan, in Vamshivata, looking, how did he feel inspired to play the flute and call upon the gopis? So our acharyas are so rasik. Their bhav is so amazing. And that is why Srila Prabhupada used these 2 wonderful words, Krishna consciousness. It is amazing. Only a rasik acharya can use the most appropriate words. As a matter of fact, in English, not everything can be described as perfectly as it can be in Sanskrit or Hindi or any of the derivatives of the Sanskrit language. But as close as possible, Srila Prabhupada used these 2 words, Krishna consciousness. I've read many books prior to coming to ISKCON, having that inclination towards philosophy. And I read books from other authors and spiritualists, but I'd never come across these 2 words, Krishna consciousness. Or in Sanskrit, it is called Krishna Bhavna Amrut. The nectar or the bhavna, the consciousness, that is basically the underlying factor is for the sukha, for the pleasure of Krishna. And whenever we say Krishna, especially us Gaudiya Vaishnavas, it automatically means Krishna and his most intimate associates. And Prabhupada gave this example many times in his purports, that like a president or a prime minister is never alone. Whenever he travels, his own paraphernalia, his own associates are always there with him. When we say that the president of such and such a country is coming, they do not actually say the names of all the ministers and the chefs and the secretaries and also the family members. It is automatically understood that on that huge Air Force One plane, the presidential plane or the conveyance, a lot of other associates of the president are automatically by default present. So when we say Krishna, especially us Gaudiya Vaishnavas, first thing is Radha and the gopis. Without that, there is no Krishna. It's a very important point. And the other sampradayas may speak of Krishna, but they only mean Krishna. So, for example, we do not, although Mirabai is a great Vaishnavi, because the thought came here, not to criticize anybody, it is a question of bhav, it is a question of taste, it's a question of what kind of a relationship one wants or has with Krishna. It's so person is the same, but he is the father of somebody, he is the husband of somebody, he is the brother of somebody, he is a friend of somebody, he may be the boss of somebody, or he may be the servant of somebody. Person is still the same person, but relationships are different. And all relationships are unique in their own ways. Their love or the affection or the awe and reverence and the respect is also very unique in each relationship. So the love that one may have for one's own wife is distinctly a very nice kind of affection, but the love that one may have for a son or a daughter is a distinctly a very nice affection, but in a very different way. And just by giving this example, it becomes very easy to understand what I'm trying to project here. So there are so many Vaishnavas who are worshippers of Lord Krishna, but without Radharani, to us, it is very dry. And we cannot even see that kind of worship. We are not even interested. That is why we do not consider our taste is not that of Mirabai, because that is of without Radharani. There is a competition that actually is taking Krishna away without enhancing Radharani's deeper bhav of Krishna or the mood of separation. There is gopis in Raj like Chandravali, Shaibya and other opposition camp gopis. They are apparently in opposition camp, but for a very specific purpose. And their purpose is to enhance the separation between Radha and Krishna so that the union will be even more glorious and even it will reach higher and higher crescendos. So they are instrumental in that. And we also learned last time while setting the grounds that of the Gopi Geet that when Krishna, coming back to the poetical part, when Krishna sees the full moon on Sharat, he sees that the moon is reddish. Actually, with reddish rays, and the eastern horizon has become also reddish. And he smiles and he says, look at my forefathers, because he's Yadu Vamshi. We explained to you all last time that Lord Ramachandra, for example, is Surya Vamshi. He is born in the dynasty of the sun. Like we know, Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that Evam Parampara Praptam Yogam Param Nastade. He says that I give this knowledge to the sun god Vivaswan, and Vivaswan to his son Ikshvaku, Ikshvaku to Manu. And like that, in that line came King Raghu, King Dilip, and then Dashrath, King Dashrath, Aja, Dashrath, and Lord Ramachandra. So they come from Vivaswan, the sun god. But Lord Krishna is known as Yadunandan, is known as Yadukuli. The Yadus, all the Vrajvasis are also known as Yadus. Yadu means those who are from the moon dynasty, Chandravamshi. So he's look at my forefather. He says he has two wives. He has his own wife and he has another wife. And in a very, very poetical way, Vishwanath Chakravarti Pad is explaining that as if he has a paramour relationship with another wife, which is the eastern horizon. Because he has filled the eastern horizon with kumkum on this Sharad Purnima night. Just like a husband puts some kumkum or vermilion on the forehead of his wife. And of course, at that time, the qualified kings and great personalities used to have more than one wife. So Krishna was inspired like that, looking at the moon and the lalima, the slight reddishness that appeared in the eastern horizon. And how his great forefather put some kumkum on her forehead. So he was remembered. I had promised those young gopis when they had performed their Katyayani Vrat last year, and I had tested them vigorously by doing the chirharan, by taking away their clothes. And because it was their internal desire that if they would like a husband, it would be Sri Krishna and only Sri Krishna. They were so attracted by Krishna. Already that prem had been established within their hearts from a very, very young age. As a matter of fact, tomorrow we will be speaking on the Damodar Leela, but I'm also inspired because it is Govardhan Leela. A little bit of Govardhan Leela I will be speaking. And we will see in the Govardhan Leela, there is a lot of rasa, some very intimate, confidential pastimes just at the time of the lifting of the Govardhan between the gopis and Krishna as well, which are unsaid, but they have been understood by the acharyas very deeply. So perhaps I will touch on that a little bit to highlight the point that I'm speaking now. So even when Krishna danced on the hoods of Kaliya, Fada Fada Arpitam, this verse is there in the Gopi Geet. At that time, why does Krishna dance like a natwar, like a great dancer on the hoods of Kaliya? Kaliya was a menace. He was killing the Vrajvasis, the birds, the beasts through the poisonous fumes. And he was a nuisance. And like many other Rakshasas, Krishna could have easily finished him within a split of a second. But he actually decided to dance on the hood of Kaliya. So there's a very deeper inner rasa for that. When he fights underwater, he brings a lot of anxiety to the Vrajvasis, to his coward friends, and also to the young gopis who had already gathered. This is like very, very young age, 6.5 years perhaps, or 5 years. And at that time, that pure natural love was flowing, within the hearts of these young girls of Vrindavan. And they were always attracted by this cute, naughty boy Krishna. And when Krishna went underwater, they all went into anxiety. Some of them even fainted because they saw some blood emanating on the surface. And obviously that blood was because Krishna had hurt Kaliya, and the blood was emanating from Kaliya. And eventually Krishna subdued Kaliya underwater. And then when he came up majestically. He came up with such majesty, like a wonderful dancer, and he performed one of the best dances. Krishna is a wonderful dancer. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a wonderful dancer. He is known as Gaura Nataraj. Nata means dance and Raj means the king of dancers. So not only the gopis, but Krishna is also an amazing dancer. And due to his dance, he wanted to actually, with the sidelong glances of the gopis that were standing on the banks, and all the Vrajvasis sighed relief when they saw Krishna come out safely, and he's actually dancing on the hoods of Kaliya. So Krishna was inspired more and more to perform a better and better dance, because actually Radha Rani and the gopis were watching him. Just like a young boy in school or college is inspired to what's the word for it? To attract the girls, they perform some feats to impress them. They perform feats. So here Krishna satisfied their eyes by performing the feats of dancing. And the more the glances that Radharani was giving in a very, very, what is called kataksha. It is not direct, because also the other elder Vrajvasis had already arrived. The boys had already informed that Krishna went into the Jamuna, jumped behind to get the ball, and he's not come up, and there is some kind of fuming and there is some kind of bubbling, and they were all worried. So Nanda Baba, Yashodamai, and all of them had already, Rohini Mata had already gathered. And due to them being full of shyness, they could not look directly at Krishna. But Krishna was looking at them, and he was impressing them more and more by performing this dance. So just by the glance of Radharani, Krishna's dance was tweaking and twisting and taking newer and newer nuances in his dance just to please these young gopis. So we have to understand that there is no adulterated, any kind of adulteration in that prem. And even so, if they are grown-ups, actually Sridhar Swami explains that Krishna and Radharani and the gopis, they look like they are 12, 13 and 14 and 15 in age, but they are actually 6, 7 and 8 years. Yoga Maya makes them appear like Kishore Kishori. This is the words of Sridhar Swami. And we have to believe it in it, because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, loves the commentaries of Sridhar Swami on the Srimad Bhagavatam. And our Gaudiya Acharyas, lest we should forget, who are they? They are actually direct witnesses to all these intimate pastimes in the Nikunjas of Vrindavan, in the bowers of Vrindavan, because they are the Sakhis, the intimate Sakhis in the form of Manjaris, Prana Sakhis, Nitya Sakhis of Radharani. So they are complete witnesses. Even if they are sitting right here in their bodies while they come here, and when they are in their trance, they're always thinking of their different sevas in the Nikunja Seva, and they're always sometimes while chanting the holy names, laughing, crying, all the different mixed emotions are displayed by them when they are so absorbed in that rasa or in that mellow. So Krishna is reminded about his promise based on seeing his forefather, how he's flirting with the eastern horizon and putting kumkum. So he said, now it is time for me to fulfill these gopis' desires. I'm repeating a part of this because I see a couple of devotees were not present last time. So doesn't matter, it's always good to revise some of because there's a lot of tattva in it. If we understand the tattva, then if we listen to rasa, we will not commit offenses. Otherwise, there will be lusty reasonings or lusty desires or lusty type of questions that will be raised in our hearts. And that is why it is very, very detrimental. And that is why it is not recommended that we jump right into rasa katha. And that is the reason why I first would like to always, even before, like in the Damodar Leela that we have been speaking for the last couple of weeks, tomorrow will be the third session. We will have 3 more sessions. I first like to establish tattva based on Srila Prabhupada, Jiva Goswami, our tattva acharyas. Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami Pad, they are tattva and rasa acharyas. Jiva Goswami is mainly tattva, but also internally he is rasa. So like this, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada completely in rasa, but externally tattva. Shri Radhika Madhavyorapara Madhurya Leela Guna Rupa Namnam Prati Shanaswa Dana Lolupasya Vande Guru Shri Charnarvindam. We sing this every day in the Mangalarti, verse number 5. What does it mean? They should be actually studying these Vaishnava songs thoroughly. Then we will understand rasa. It will come to us without any offense. We will feel that bliss. Otherwise, we will not have taste. Even if somebody is trying to present something, oh, it's boring. So then we are always stuck in tattva. There has to come a time where tattva becomes the platform for rasa. If we do not use, just like a ladder, you take one step upward, upward, upward. As you take one step upward, you take the the help of the previous rung or the previous step, and then you go up. Similarly, tattva or foundation is very important. And that is why it is not recommended to go into such kathas without proper tattva. And that is why I like to take my sweet time to go into it before jumping right into the tattva. It will not do me good nor the listeners. Anyways, coming back, so Krishna plays his flute there, and he attracts all these gopis in their homes. They leave everything and they come into the dark of the jungle. And when they arrive, Krishna says, "Go back. What are you doing here?" And the gopis are saying, "You must be joking, right? I mean, you called us with your sweet, melodious flute, and now you're saying you go back. Yeah, your husbands, it's your duty to go back to your husbands, to your in laws, to back to your children. You cannot just come like this. It is not, it is against the code of society, especially to meet somebody like me who is a brahmachari, an unmarried boy." So the gopis tell Krishna, "Oh yeah, okay." Of course, they are heartbroken and they are completely lost their senses. But when they do eventually come back to their senses, they say, "Okay, Krishna." And we have mentioned this katha previously also, but that you're acting like a guru by instructing us based on Shastra. Then Shastra also says, we have heard, that it is first our duty, even if there is Krishna, even if there is God, Narayan, our first duty is to serve Guru. Uh, Guru Krishna khade kako lagu pai, Guru Balihari jake Krishna pai. If Guru and Krishna, they are both standing and they both appear together, who shall I bow down to first? So, of course, the answer is, I will first bow down to Guru, because through the mercy of Guru, I will obtain Govinda or Krishna. So, you are right, but also the Shastra says that we have to serve even beyond everything in society, family, etc. We have to serve Guru. So, we have now come to serve you, O Krishna. So, like that, a very wonderful, sarcastic argument full of philosophy goes back and forth. And you all heard about that katha that I had mentioned when we did the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Dharma projita kaitavatra parmo narma saranam satam vedyam vastavam vatra shivadam taputra unmulanam Srimad Bhagavatam mahamuni krite kim va parai ishvara sadhya avaruddhatra kritivi shruvi tat shanat, where the essence is that Bhagavatam doesn't deal with any kind of cheating religions. It is the pure dharma. Savai pumsam paro dharma yato bhakti radokshaje ahaitukiya pratiyata jena atma suprasiddhati, which is exactly what Krishna is telling Arjun. Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. Give up all varieties of dharma, dharma for relatives, dharma for country, dharma for mankind, and only surrender unto me. Aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami ma sucha. So the encouragement there is that I will take away all your sins. Do not worry. Oh, somebody will say that the sinful reactions will come if I leave my husband, if I leave my father, if I leave my children. I will go to hell. It is my duty. So Krishna says, do not worry. If you are fully surrendered to me, because everything else is temporary, but I am permanent, you are permanent, the jiva, the soul is permanent, our relationship is permanent. And when you have a permanent relationship with the permanent personality, Sri Krishna, then our bliss or ananda is permanent. And therefore, we are also ansha of Satchidananda. We are also known as Satchidananda Rupa. The jiva also is, because we are parts and parcels of Sri Krishna. But that is basic. But for the gopis who had already surrendered everything, what can he give? What kind of papa or any kind of reactions Krishna can nullify? Krishna cannot do that because they are completely anaga. They are completely sinless. But this is a rasa, this is a mellow to help us understand what the highest form of bhakti is. And that is what this Pancharasa Adhyaya is all about. Besides, a lot of people like to speak about the intricacies of the romance. Romance is there, no doubt. If there is no romance in the spiritual world, how can romance exist in the material world? The romance in the material world is a perverted reflection of the purity or the original object, kaya, and therefore there is chaya. Uh, Here it is based on the sense gratification of each other until the time that the sense gratification does not happen, then divorces happen in relationships, whether it is in servitorship, in friendship, in parenthood, or even in the conjugal love, whether boyfriend, girlfriend, break up, or husband, wife, divorce. But there it is completely different. There, this is the main theme of the Panchamaharasa Adhyaya, that what is love? Actually speaking, we do not know the definition of love. We have no idea what love is. Everything that is here that we are experiencing, even between a husband and wife and our other relationships, our acharyas say it is based on lust, kama. Kama means some sense gratification. It has to propound. Only to a certain very degree, very few relationships like a mother and a son have that little semblance of selflessness or purity. That too only in a very, very young age, not once the children grow up. Very rarely. Those poets and those who have described it in upanyasas and novels and all kinds of materialistic theism and what we see in the soap operas and in the dramatic Bollywood movies and the sacrifices like Mother India, how she is sacrificing her life for the children. If you all remember that old movie, Nargis Dutt, she was the actress, and how it was so traumatic and people were crying. I still remember in that movie what kind of a mother she was. But there also, there is sense gratification, which cannot be compared to what the Vrajvasis have in the spiritual world, uh, or those who are on this pure platform. So when these gopis come eventually, then or this conversation ensues, and then Krishna eventually is satisfied, and then being so pleased, he fulfills his promise by performing the rasa dance. So the first Ras Leela dance happens, and at that time, during the rasa dance, um, it is so amazing that Radha and Krishna are in the center, in the epicenter, just like a beautiful lotus flower. And it's the world or the concentric circle where the epicenter is. Uh, the epicenter is. Uh, who is this iPhone to me? Don't have a name. Haribol. Anyways, Hare Krishna, Happy Diwali to you. Um, anyways, uh, what was I saying? Can somebody type out? That message popped and I kind of got distracted. The Ras Leela. The first Ras Leela happens where Radharani and Krishna are right in the center in the world like a lotus flower, where the epicenter, where the corona and the corolla is, right? The concentration. And that's where actually the bees actually sit when they go on a flower, because that's where the honey is. That's the Purna Amrita Swadhanam. That's where the Purna Amrit, the complete nectar, is situated. So Radha and Krishna are situated right in the center, and the rest of the gopis have gathered. Now, at that time of the Ras Leela, all the gopis are invited. when he plays the flute in the middle of the night and they come to Vamshivat, all gopis from all the camps, when they hear the flute of Krishna, they feel that Krishna is calling them. So it is not just Radharani Swapaksha gopis, not just the Vipaksha gopis are also present, the Surud gopis are also present, and the Tathastha gopis are also present. There are four classes of gopis. We had explained that, touched on it last time. Uh, the Swapaksha gopis are the gopis that are very dear to Radharani, and come hell or high, they are only for Radha. Krishna, you are also secondary. As long as you can please my Radha, we love you. But the moment you make my Radha unhappy, then you are my number one enemy. Uh, that kind of an attitude. Just like when we see, I like to give this example. When a husband and wife, they are happily married and everything is going very well. And when the wife goes to her friends or to a sister or to a mother and says, oh, you know what? Today my husband is so amazing. He gave me breakfast in bed, and today he said, you don't stand up at all, and I will do all the cooking for you, and I will do all the cleaning. Come, my dear, you rest. And then the mother-in-law or the mother of the girl is so happy. Oh, Krishna, we are so fortunate. Oh, you are so fortunate to have such a wonderful husband. And the sister and the friends who is mentioning all this, all the glories of her husband, they are also very much happy. And they also kind of send blessings from their heart for keeping her Sakhi or her sister or her daughter very happy. On the other hand, when there is a fight ensuing and there is a quarrel, and at that time, if the husband yells at her or gets very aggressive, at that time when she goes and tells the same thing to her best friend or a sister or mother, or they will be, or a brother, they will become furious. They will say, you know what, you don't have to tolerate this nonsense, just come home. And if you want, the brother will roll up his sleeves and says, you know, I will teach him a lesson. So, like that, our Swapakshi gopis are like that for Radharani. They not know nothing but the pleasure of Radharani. And Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, our Acharyas, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, they're all in that same yutha, Swapaksha yutha. Youth means a group of gopis. They are Swapakshi gopis. And then there is Vipaksha. Vipaksha, as I mentioned, is Chandravali, etc. And again, the main reason for the Vipaksha is to enhance the separation and union, the pinnacle, the man of Radharani, one of the prema levels. And that is only complementing that. The Vipaksha gopis are actually helping that. There has to be separation in order to have a wonderful union or a very pleasing union. And even when that separation happens, the love is increasing and increasing. Even there, Ananda Ambudi Vardhanam. It's a different kind of an Ananda. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has expressed this Ananda Ambudi Vardhanam in the Sistastakam. And that Ananda Ambudi Vardhanam has many, many different internal meanings. One of them being also that Mahaprabhu, when he spoke this Chaitanya Sistastakam, he was in the Gambhira, and he had obtained the mood. He was trying to obtain the mood of Radharani through his sadhana. Even he did a lot of tapasya, Krishna himself, to get his objective, or known as what is known as the we have the sambandha, then we have the abhidya and the prayojan. There are three stages for a devotee. A sambandha is when one establishes a relationship with the Supreme Lord, knowing that He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So sambandha gyan is usually gotten through books like Bhagavad Gita, some from Srimad Bhagavatam, and some other literatures that kind of impresses us with the Vaibhav of Krishna, with the awe and reverence that attracts us, that builds sambandha. And Madan Mohanji is that sambandha devata. Then comes the actual process of how we can establish that relationship. That is called abhidya. And abhidya is the actual process, and by the mercy of Radha Govind Devji. Govind Devji is the abhidya. Rupa Goswami Govind Dev Ji manifest to him, and Rupa Goswami established all these different books that will help us in our sadhana. And then, out of when we all the different anarthas are eradicated, and when we are situated on the stage of Nishtha, Ruchi, Bhav, Asakti, Bhav, and the Prem, that comes under the jurisdiction by the mercy of Gopinath. This is also an amazing thing that is also connected to this Pancharasa Adhyay. Because the ultimate tapasya of all the gopis, different kinds of gopis, there were Shruti-chari gopis. Shruti-chari means the Vedas. They were inspired to have Krishna as their husband, and they wanted the highest reciprocation. So Krishna allowed them to take birth as gopis in Vraj. And then there was the gopis in the Dandakaranya forest that when Lord Ramachandra was passing through, they were attracted. But Ramachandra Bhagavan could not reciprocate to marry these rishis. So then Krishna fulfilled their desires by giving them birth as gopis in Vraj. And of course, then there are those gopis who are the Kaya views of Radharani, direct expansions of Radharani's. And there are those Siddha gopis. They are naturally there. And then there are sadhan siddha. So we can also eventually, if we follow our sadhana strictly, and when we enter Raganuga Bhakti and when we leave our bodies, then we can be admitted by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas, Rupanuga acharyas, into the gopi form, into the manjari form, in the service of Radha and Krishna, in the swapaksh of Radharani. And that is basically our goal. We should first of all understand that what kind of school of thought we are in. We don't even know that. It's okay to learn Bhagavad Gita and all that, but when will that day come that we will know that we are admitted into the Stanford or the Harvard of medical schools, where we are going to do specialty? Just like medical schools, there's specialties of cardiac surgery or neurosurgeons or oncologists. These are specialists. So we should know what kind of university that we have been admitted into. And the university, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada, known as ISKCON, is that university. If we are properly good students right from kindergarten all the way to the doctorate level, then we are capable of getting the highest of the highest rasas, which is Madhurya Rasa. Please try to understand that. This is very important. Generally, we don't hear these things. There's nothing wrong in saying that. We are not talking about any Sahajya Katha, or we are not talking about, at least we should know. Like supposing if you ask somebody, a student outside in a recess, outside a college, that you're passing by, my dear boy or my dear girl, can you tell me what college is this and what are the subjects they teach? The boy and girl will be enthusiastic. Oh, this is a very highly rated engineering college and it specializes in IT, or it specializes in quantum physics, or so many other specialized subjects. And it's one of the top schools. At least they know where we are admitted. We don't even know where we are admitted. Some or the other, we are just doing things because, we are attracted to the Vaibhav of Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. But eventually, my dear devotees, there should come a time we are going to be purified like the Vraj Vasis, which is our eventual aim, to be the Rupanugas, to like Raghunath Das Goswami. He explains in the Manashiksha in the very first verse, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Pad and so many, Krishnath Kaviraj Goswami, all of that is established in Chaitanya Charitamrita. When we study that, is the highest conversation between Ramanand Rai Ji and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It gives us a very deep understanding and glimpse of how fortunate we are. We are holding a pure Kohinoor diamond and thinking that this is just some ordinary piece of glass. You and I, we must have done so much tapasya in our last lives, or some Haituki Kripa by some Gaudiya Vaishnava, by Srila Prabhupada, that was done on us, that we are fortunate enough to join this glorious movement of Mahaprabhu. So the ultimate goal is Radha Dasyam. That's what we should understand. We have to forget that Krishna, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead eventually. Right now we have to remember every day. Like Prabhupada is Tattva, he's teaching Tattva, like the ABCs of spirituality. Please try to understand Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he is explaining the Bhagavad Gita very nicely so that we get attracted. But once we are attracted, then what? Are we going to end up in Vaikuntha, Dwarka, Mathura? All the ISKCONites know that, oh, we want to go back home to Godhead in Golok Vrindavan. But to go to Golok Vrindavan, what are we going to do? Are we just going to get stuck in Bhagavad Gita? Or are we going to be stuck in the 5th grade or the 10th grade? Or are we going to go keep on graduating further and pleasing our acharyas? Very important point. Especially when the desire is there, the most important thing in a devotee's life is desire. Beyond everything, Sushrubhi Krutubhi Tat Shanat, Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd verse, last line. Ishvara avarudyate atra Krutubhi Shushrubhi Tat Shanat. By cultivating that desire, we can arrest Krishna within our hearts, just like how the gopis are arresting Krishna within their hearts. Gopi Geet is all about that. There is actually speaking, if I get the opportunity, if I continue on Gopi Geet, this will last for a whole year. On each verse, we can go so much in depth that we'll have probably five meanings on each verse if we explain them. But we will try to, speak whatever we are inspired on as the thought flow and the nectar flows within our hearts as inspired by our acharyas. So eventually, my dear devotees, this is the secret. We will have to forget that Krishna, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Not forget Krishna, but forget Krishna, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are just that loving darling. You are just our lover. You are the Kanta, Shriya Kantaha Kantaha Parama Purushaha. You are indeed our lover, regardless of which rasa, but our rasa is Madhurya rasa. So Krishna, standing in the middle, that Anandambudhi Vardhanam, the world is performing this Ras Leela, and all the gopis, Swapaksha, Vipaksha, Surud, and Tathastha gopis are all present in that Ras Leela. So here there is a philosophy that we have to understand, that all Vaishnavas, whoever worships Krishna, at the end of the day, we have to unite. And Sri Krishna will give us pleasure as long as we have the proper mood. If we have the proper mood, then Sri Krishna will reciprocate like he reciprocated in the Ras Leela. He reciprocated with each and every gopi. He danced in a circle and he danced so fast, it appeared as if Krishna was dancing individually with each gopi. So our acharyas explain that some say that Krishna expanded himself with as many gopis. He expanded himself into that many forms. So our acharyas say, the Rasik acharya says no. Because that expansion means it is Aishwarya. And Aishwarya is present in Vaikuntha. So here Sri Krishna is such a Nataraj, an expert dancer, that he was so fast, just like a firebrand, with great dexterity. Prabhupada uses that word. Krishna danced in a circle with each and every gopi. And it was so fast that everybody thought that he is just with me. He has never left me. And like that, thinking like that, they were so happy that Krishna had fulfilled their heart's desire that they had been waiting for since their childhood, since the time that they set their eyes on this beautiful Madan Mohan, the enchanter of Cupid. And at that time, Krishna was so amazingly generous in his love and reciprocation that some gopi was tired during their fast dancing. So Krishna, he took his own uttariya, the upper garment, and he wiped the sweat beads while he was dancing fast. One of the gopis, her ankle bells had become loose, and Krishna immediately, he was so fast while dancing, he immediately tied the ankle bells nicely on that gopi's feet. I have seen that in our childhood, especially we come from Bombay, and during the Navratra festival, they do the Dandiya Ras and Garba. And I've seen some dancers, they are just so amazing. Sometimes I was just looking at them and I was just like fascinated the way they used to dance. They used to, dance so fast, and they had those sticks, the dandiyas in their hands, and they used to throw it up with great expertise, and they catch it by the next person before they came back, before they could, kind of cross in, click with the other uh, person in the groups. They did it, they actually rotated in the group, and some of them, they were so fast that they turned around, they whirled around, and they threw their dandiya or the stick behind their back and brought it in the front. And with such dexterity, they were dancing. So can you imagine if the material dancers in this world can do such feats, what to talk about Krishna, who is the expert dancer? So all the gopis were so happy with him, thinking, oh, he's only with us. And Yogamaya, at that time, her job is so amazing that she is so busy that she doesn't want that even for a truti. Truti means 1/7, I think 700 or 7,000th of a second. That is the smallest delineation of time. It is called truti. Nimesh is also another delineation, means eye blink. The time it takes for the eye to blink is called nimesh. But truti is very small. So even for a truti, Yogamaya could not let go of her duty of making all those gopis think that Krishna is only with me. Although Krishna is also dancing with Radharani in the center. But an amazing thing happens. Yogamaya, to enhance that rasa or rasa leela, she makes Radharani forget that Krishna is with her, although he is there with her. It is called prema vaichitya. Krishna is there, but she thinks that Krishna is not there. That is a very special form of prema vaichitya. And Radharani is given that special vision only to her by Yogamaya. She is seeing Krishna with all the other gopis. And she's thinking, Krishna has left me and he's gone with them. What about me? And immediately that mana prem arises in her. So that's another level of prem. There are different levels of prem that the gopis experience in Mahabhav, especially Radharani. And those are some exclusive bhavs, that Mahabhavs are only for Sri Radha. The other gopis cannot obtain that. So when she cannot find Krishna, although he is right there in front of her, she cannot see her. She is kind of transcendentally blinded by Yogamaya. She becomes transcendentally envious. And out of that sulkiness, she immediately leaves that Ras Mandal and she goes away into the forest. Now, when the other gopis are dancing, externally speaking, Sukdev Goswami in the Bhagavatam has mentioned that they felt very proud that Krishna is only with me, Krishna is only dancing with me. And then when that bhav comes, that feeling comes, Krishna leaves the Ras Mandal and he disappears. But internally speaking, Krishna disappears because Krishna has her eyes on Radha. Always. No matter what he does, even when he's teasing her, when he is doing some Ras Leela or any kind of association with other gopis, his thoughts and his eyes and mind and heart is always for Radharani. Always, always. Not even for a moment. The Krishna's thoughts, minds, words, deeds are away. Even that association with the Vipaksha gopis is actually to increase the love of Radharani. So there also Krishna's consciousness is Radha consciousness. So when Krishna sees her leave, he has to leave the Ras Leela to go behind her. And actually, he leaves, again an internal reason is to increase the Utkantha, to increase the separation of all the other gopis that are from Vipaksha, Swapaksha, Tathastha, and Surud gopis. And when he disappears into the forest, we find that the gopis, after they are searching, and all, whether Vipaksha, Suruda, Tathastha, and Swapaksha, they all gathered together and they are actually going into the forest in search of Krishna. And they see a set of footprints. And when they see a set of footprints, the Vipaksha gopis uh, have recognized it. The Swapaksha gopis have recognized the lotus feet of Krishna because they all serve the lotus feet of Krishna. And of course, the Swapaksha gopis because they serve the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna together. So, when Krishna goes into the forest, there is one pair of footprints which is only his. And then suddenly they see two pairs of footprints. And when they see the two pairs of footprints, again they start speculating. The Vipaksha gopis are thinking, oh wow, look, this one particular gopi is so fortunate that Krishna is following her into the seclusion and taking her into the forest, leaving all of us. She must have done a lot of tapasya in her last life. So we must, she must be so fortunate. But when the Swapaksha gopis saw carefully the footprints, they suddenly noticed that it is her Swamini's footprints. It is Radhaji's footprints, Sri Jiu's footprints, because they are serving the lotus feet of Radharani. So they know each and every rekha, line, each and every imprint on Radharani, and they become full of glee and joy. Oh, Radha and Krishna together in the forest. They've gone deeper in the forest. And like that, the Vipaksha gopis still keep speculating, and then as they keep moving forward, they see that suddenly out of the two sets of footprints, one has disappeared, and they see only Krishna's footprints, but those footprints are a little bit, about ½ inch to 1 inch deeper, is sunken into the land of Vraja. So they immediately start concluding, the Vipaksha gopis, oh, this gopi is so fortunate. She must have been tired and Krishna picked her up. So fortunate she is. She must have done so much tapasya in her last life. And the Vipaksha and the Swapaksha gopis are getting so happy. Oh, our Radharani must have become very tired. And Krishna loves her so much. He must have picked her up. And that is why, due to the weight, Krishna's footprints are heavier now. And like that, they are enjoying that rasa, just thinking about the different things that may have transpired in their absence. They are getting this wonderful, that is called sphurtis. This is called sphurti. They are getting these sphurtis. And due to these sphurtis, they are enjoying, and they are actually, especially the Swapaksha gopis are very happy. So further when they go, they see that the flowers in a certain kunja on the top, there are less flowers, and they all see a lot of flowers scattered on the ground. And it seems that because she was tired, the Swapaksha gopis deduced that she must have been tired, and Krishna wanted to, massage her lotus feet, or fan her, or even do some Sringar ras for her. Like, her hair must have been all gone astray. So Krishna must have performed some Sringar ras by combing her hair. And he made a nice bed of flowers for her to be seated. So like this. And the Vipaksha gopis were still speculating how fortunate this gopi is that Krishna personally made. Look at all these flowers that are scattered. We don't see the flowers in this bower, in this kunja. Most of them are gone because they have been plucked, and Krishna has made a nice flower bed, a sage for them. So like this, when Krishna and Radharani are gone deep into the forest, they are being followed, and all these different hints are being deduced by the different gopis in the Swapaksha, Vipaksha, Suroda, and Tathastha gopis. And they are all together, but they're still searching for Krishna. They're searching because they miss Krishna too much. They are missing him so much that Ras Leela, the nectarian taste, the Ananda Ambudi Vardhanam that they had tasted, now it is suddenly gone. So they all unite together and they search, and lo and behold, what do they see? They see on the ground, on that not too far away, it is somebody, one gopi on the floor. She's rolling in the dust and she is crying, and she is completely in a miserable, devastated state. And she is basically saying, Hanath Ramana Preshta क्वासी क्वासी महाभुजा दास्यस्ते कृपणाय मे सखे दर्शया sannidham. This gopi was crying, Ha Nath, O Master, Hey Raman, O my lover, Preshta, dearmost, Kwasi Kwasi, where are you? Where are you? Mahabhuja, O strong armed one, Dasasya Kripanayame, please have mercy on me. Show yourself, Sakhe Darshaya Sannidham. Oh friend, show yourself. Radharani is actually there. When they come closer, they realize it is Radhaji. Krishna is not to be found there. And because it is said, our acharyas say that the moment he saw this whole group of gopis come together, he immediately goes into hiding in one of the kunjas. He does not disappear. He goes into hiding and he's watching everything. And while he is watching, the reason why he does it, our acharyas explain, is because he did not want to increase any kind of jealousy for Radharani. Because they were all enjoying so much in the Ras Leela, and Krishna left them when Radharani went into the forest for Radharani. So naturally, there could be some resentment, or there could be some envy that could happen. And our acharyas explain that is the reason why Krishna immediately left Radharani, even in those intimate association that they were enjoying with each other, in their romance, in the Shringar Rasa, in the deep forest. But because the gopis came, the other gopis came, he immediately hid. He went into hiding. This was a very favorite verse of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I think I mentioned that last time in Madhundar Puri Path. They used to repeat these verses, and to their hearts full of bhav, they're full of bhav. All the gopis, the Swapaksha, Suruda, Tatastha and Vipaksha, then approach Srimati Radhika and express their sympathy. So now, although there are Vipaksha gopis, but they're because they are also feeling that pain of separation. And when one feels that pain, the same kind of pain, then that unity naturally happens. So even though Chandravali is from the opposite camp, she also started feeling a lot of sympathy, and she had natural sympathy because Chandravali is actually Radharani's cousin. She is the daughter of Chandrabhanu. Chandrabhanu is the brother of Vrishabhanu, King Vrishabhanu, who is the father of Radharani. So Chandrabhanu ji was the uncle, the chacha of Radharani. And Chandravali is her daughter, a cousin. So naturally, because of family ties also, she had affection, especially when she was weeping in such a state, that thinking that what have I done that Krishna left me? Oh, I think I was very proud because he had left all the gopis and he came behind me. I felt very proud, and that is now Krishna is teaching me a lesson. So this certain bhav, those kind of feelings are also coming in Radharani's heart. And like this, Radharani was feeling a little bit of man, sulkiness, not little, a lot of man. And at the same time, when Krishna disappeared, just before the gopis came, she was thinking, I think I should not have done so much man. I overdid it, and Krishna is upset at me, and that is why he disappeared. So like this is that example, perfect example of one of the bhavs known as the Vyabhichari bhav, in which mana and all other bhavs, they rise up and subside just like a wave. If we see a wave in the ocean, a huge wave, it has got the crest and the trough, the top and the bottom, and then it keeps on repeating that cycle. Sometimes we get that feeling too. Has it not happened to us, let's say, when we are upset at somebody, very, very upset, then we get so angry and we even speak some very apashabdas, dirty words, but internally we love that person so much. Externally we say, you get out, I don't want to see your face. But that person, if he turns away and even goes to another room, immediately thinking, oh, why did I say such harsh words? And the separation is so much, even due to that fight. uh, she's the person, they are saying each other, why did I say this? I should not have. I wish I would have. I wish uh, he or she is with me right now. But then again, for the next second, oh, forget him. You know, let him go. He think my life is not going to go on without him or her. So those waves. This is amazing. See, this is poetry at the same time reality. That these vows and all these vows exist eternally in the spiritual world, in Golok, etc. That is why they exist here. Obviously, they are here in a very perverted form. So after that same process is repeated, the waves, the new waves kept on appearing. And this is similar to the way in which Radha's man disappeared. At that time, immediately, due to her being immersed in Krishna's loving dealings with her, she was immediately became very, very humbled at that time. She then thought that all her Swapaksha gopis, they are come together. When since all the gopis were searching together, they all came. And then when the gopis found Radharani in this condition, you know, they naturally felt the sprinkled water on her, brought her back to her external senses. And when she came to her external consciousness, she asked her, what has upset you? Why are you so overwhelmed and weeping? All the other gopis with a lot of love asked her. And then Radharani told them, as I was wandering throughout the forest with Krishna, she said that I told him that I was no longer able to walk. And the Swapaksa gopis had already guessed that. And why had she said that to Krishna? It was not due to Saubhagamada. Saubhagamad means that pride, that Krishna is only mine. Here the Acharyas explained that it is not Saubhagamad, the pride in her incomparable good fortune, but rather her deep contemplation was like, my Sakhis have left everything for me. She's thinking at that time. They left everything for me. They even and they left their husbands, their children, and everything, and they were enjoying the company of Krishna. And then Krishna left them and came after me alone. And in the meantime, the other gopis had been, coming nearer and nearer, because there's a lot of gopis that were following. The first set of gopis came, and the second and the third, and all of them, Radharani was feeling so much love and prem vaichitya. And Krishna was actually right there, actually sitting with her. Krishna reappeared and he was sitting with her, worshipping her, but yet she could not feel the presence of Krishna. She felt an intense separation from him. She was unable to perceive that he was sitting right beside her. And as the more and more gopis came closer and closer, Krishna thought that now again I will disappear, and he disappeared, so that they will not become envious of Radharani. So like this, in this prem vaichitya state, in this waves of different kind of feelings, anger, sulkiness, man, humbleness, and also love for the gopis, other gopis who are missing Krishna, Radhika fell to the ground in distress, and it was there that the gopis found her, all of them, and then they asked her all those questions. So somewhat she hid her bhav. Radharani hid her bhav, selflessly wanting them to also dance with Krishna in the Ras Leela. And she simply told them, because I was maddened with pride, Saubhagamada of my good fortune, just as you did, now he has left me as well. So this is how Radharani kind of explains this to the gopis. And then all of them collectively, the entire Swapaksha, Vipaksha, Suruda, Tatastha, all the gopis began to search for Krishna. They were looking for Krishna. Finally, they decided the only way he could be found would be through Sankirtan. Very, very important point. The Sankirtan, we explained last time, even in the Damodar Leela, when Mother Yashoda started churning that butter rod, the chas in the pot, and the rod and the ropes and the chas, the buttermilk, and the bangles, and her ankle bracelets, all unison when Mother Yashoda was singing the glories of Kirtan, Sankirtan. Samyak Kirtan iti Sankirtan. Full glories of Krishna. When we are singing the full glories of Krishna, some means Samyak, full. There are many meanings of Sankirtan. Samyak Kirtan means congregational chanting as propagated by Gaur Nitai. Sankirtanai pitaro kamalaya vishwambharo dvijavaro yugadharma palo vande jagat priya karo karuna avtaro. So this Gaur Nitai, they are the fathers of Sankirtan movement. Together in Kali Yuga, all should chant together, it will give us strength. But there are much more deeper meanings of Sankirtan. Even the Sistastakam, first verse, last word, Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. When we someday if we are inspired, when we do Sistastakam, we will go into those details in the glories of Sankirtan. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada says that real Sankirtan is for Gaudiya Vaishnavas when we are fully glorifying the pastimes of Radha Krishna. That is Sankirtan. Hare Krishna Mahamantra itself is Sankirtan. Samyak Kirtan, full. Because Hara is Nam Akari, Bahuda, Nija Sarva Shaktis. All the internal potencies of Krishna are present in this word Hara. And the gopis, the manjaris, all the different, and especially when we are chanting Hara as Gaudiya Vaishnavas, it is the Swapaksha gopis who are present in the word Hara along with Radharani. And Krishna, the all attractive, the one who attracts the gopis and the one who is attracted by the gopis is Krishna. So many different meanings are there. There are of each word of Hare Krishna. There is separation, there is union. We explained that like in the first ras, there was union, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. The union was there of all the gopis and Krishna. Hara means all the gopis, including Radharani and Krishna. And then when the separation took place, Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Radharani leaves the last mandal and she goes alone into the forest, Hare Hare. And Krishna is there, Krishna, Krishna. And then Hare Rama. This is very confidential. Hare Rama, which is exactly the verse where she addresses Krishna, Ha Natha Ramana Prestha. That Ram means my lover. Oh, Radha Raman, one who is lovingly sporting with me. That is, Ram is being addressed. All the gopis are gathered together and they are also calling out for that lover of Radha, the lover of the gopis, Rama. That Ram is a term of endearment. It is not Ram, Lord Ramachandra. Sometimes we explain to the newcomers, yes, it's okay that when you chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, you can take Ram as Balram or you can take it as Lord Ramachandra. In sadhana bhakti, it is all right. We will get the benefit. But here, this is very deep. The Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it is actually the Ras Leela. But we have to have that rasa. We have to have that understanding. Then we will be able to understand that Ras Leela is actually Mahamantra also. And Mahamantra is the Ras Leela. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So like this, they were all doing Sankirtan. Sankirtan is the best way to attract Krishna. No matter where we are, no matter what yug we are, whether in Satya Yug, whether in Treta, whether in Dwapar, whether in Kali Yug, whether we are in the forest, Sukhe Dukhe Bhulo Nako Sada Vadane, Hari Naam Bole Dako Gai Gora, Madhura Sware, Hari Naam Gai Gora, Madhura Sware. So this Harinam is indeed for anybody, Arthi, Artharthi, Jnani, Jigyasu, going just for the fundamentals. Oh Krishna, give me my daily bread. Oh my dear Father, just like the Christians beg, oh Father, who thou art in heaven, give us thy daily bread. Yes, Arthi, Artharthi, Jnani, Jigyasu, when we take the name of Krishna, oh Father, oh Heavenly Father, oh Bhagwan, oh Paramatma, oh Krishna, oh Govinda, oh Murari, oh Mukunda. When we are calling out those names, we are attracting his attention no matter what our goal is. Our goal may be material, our goal may be for Gyan, our goal may be for Jigyasa, our goal may be for Mishra Bhakti, our goal may be for Shuddha Bhakti, our goal may be Vaikuntha Bhakti, our goal may be Golok Bhakti, our goal may be Shantaras, our goal may be Dasyaras, our goal may be Sakhyaras, our goal may be Vatsalyaras, our goal may be Madhuryaras, and within Madhuryaras there is another goal that Mahamantra can award, which Krishna was awarded by chanting this Mahamantra by sitting in the Gambhira. Alone he was chanting in with his two best associates, Rai Ramananda and Swarup Damodarji, Lalita ji and Vishakha ji. Krishna chanted the Mahamantra day and night for 12 years to obtain the bhav of Radharani. Right from the beginner, right from that materialist to Krishna himself takes the ashray of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This Mahamantra is amazing. It is indeed Ananda Ambudi Vardhanam. The more we chant and the more offenseless we become and the more we have faith in our acharyas, the more it is revealed to us. And the bhav of this Maharas is revealed in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So as a collective party, the gopis began to search for Krishna. Finally, they decided that the only way it was through attractive throwing this Krishna Sankirtan, and they started chanting the Gopi Geet. They returned to the bank of the Yamuna because they were thinking that if they're in the forest, maybe he's in a different part of the forest, maybe he's in a different place here or there. When we are in the bank in the Jamuna in the open air, he will be able to resonate, he will be able to hear our resonating voices and he will appear in front of us. So this is Gopi Geet, that is the stage that was set, why the Gopi Geet was chanted and how it so happened that the Gopi happened. So next Saturday, we will take the most intense on all the verses are amazing. Again, my understanding is also very limited. Our acharyas are the ocean of nectar, and I have tried to grab a small fraction of it, which I'm trying to share with all of you. So we will take verse number 9, Tava Katha Amritam, Tapta Jivanam, Kavi Viriditam, Kalmashapaham, Shravana Mangalam, Srimadatam, Bhuvi Grinanti, Jay Bhurida Jana. Because it is sandwiched between the 18 verses, just like I mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, a Bhakti Yoga, the topmost yoga is sandwiched between the other chapters, right in the middle of the 18 chapters of Sri Bhagavad Gita. The best is it is deep inside, like in a whirl of a flower, in deep inside, where the nectar is extracted by the bee. And every word of the Gopi Gita is nectarian. But I would like to start with verse 9 and then we will go to the first verse. Jayati ete adhikam janmana vrajaha. Hopefully, whatever time permits on Saturdays in Kartik. So I thank you very much for those who stayed behind. I know it is Diwali day. The participation was not as great today, but I had promised that I will. This is a sadhana. My Thakurji is listening to this katha, and I'm sure my Girirajji is smiling. I see him smiling, and I am very pleased. Even if it was just one of you, I would have done this katha. So it is very purified. Thank you very much. Happy Diwali. Happy Govardhan Puja. See you all tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. sharp, where we will be doing some Govardhan Katha. And also we will be continuing into the Damodar Leela. Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Vancha kalpataro vischa, kripa sindhubhyo patitanam pavanebhyo, vaishnavebhyo, namo namaha.